Welcome to Cups and Courage. Today's guest is Emma. Emma was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer in 2021. This was de novo, was her first diagnosis. Cups and Courage, the podcast. Welcome. Thank you, Emma, for being here.
Hello. Nice to be here.
It's great. So, first thing, in the Cups and Courage biscuit barrel, you've brought something.
I have.
Okay, here we go. Oh, that was a genuine reaction.
It was a hard one.
It
was a hard to make a decision.
Excellent choice. Thank you. Would you like a biscuit?
I will save mine for a bit later.
You're going to say, we sometimes do this. We put it on the side and then we get so engrossed in the conversation
we forget
that I forget to eat it.
Okay, well, that might be what I should do with biscuits in generally.
Just make sure you have someone around that you can talk to so you forget it's there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Dark chocolate hobnob?
No, milk chocolate.
Is it milk chocolate?
Yes, it should be.
It's the light. I know, I'll take it. I mean, hobnobs full stop.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Oaty and dunkable.
Absolutely. Okay, so second tradition we have on our podcast is we like to ask our guests their own definition of courage. And so we don't start with a light question. We go full hard into that one.
I would put it with strength.
Okay.
And that you sort of, the fear might be there, but you've got to overcome it and deal with, to make you a courageous person. Have courage.
To just do, crack on and do.
Yeah.
Thank you. I always think courage, it takes lots of different shapes. Right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be massively loud and, show-stopping. Sometimes it's just the smaller piece of just continuing. That's not even small, but just carrying on, moving forward and doing the thing, even though it's frightening, as you say.
Yeah.
Okay, Emma, thank you. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with you for lots of reasons. But if you wouldn't mind, are you happy to give us a short overview of your own story?
Yeah.
How it relates within breast cancer?
Yeah, I can. Give a bit of context. I'm 55, and when I was 51, I hadn't yet been called for my routine mammogram. So I thought, do I wait? My family is very firm believers of having mammograms, just check yourself out. And I had some previously, so it wasn't like my first mammogram.
Okay.
So I decided to pay privately to go and get a private mammogram because I hadn't been called for the NHS. I went thinking I'm going to meet a friend for coffee afterwards. Everything's going to be nice and quick and easy. They found something straight away. I don't know how it works necessarily on the NHS, but I know on privately you get your result there and then. They did biopsies. They thought I had cancer. Well, they told me I definitely had cancer in one breast.
Is this in one appointment? You've gone thinking
I went
just
in
for a
at
routine?
11, and by 3 o'clock I knew I had breast cancer in one breast and maybe in both breasts. So I should have gone with someone, but I just thought, it's a normal routine mammogram. I'll be fine. I always am. They did biopsies there. They did ultrasounds. So that was a Friday. And then I was told to come back on the Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember which day of the week it was, for the results of the biopsies. And I then had it confirmed that I had it in both. I had both breasts, and I think 2 in one breast, and it was in my lymph nodes as well. So that's when they said, obviously, because it's in the lymph nodes, they'll need to do full testing. So they need to do PET, CT scans, and breast MRIs. And where I go, although you have to pay for it because your insurance company doesn't cover it, they insist that you have genetic testing. So it was a bit of a shock because it was very expensive, but I did it. And it was just a spit test, very nice and easy. So I did the genetic testing. I then was booked in for PET scan, CT, and my MRI.
Can I ask a really stupid question? And I should know this. PET scan?
So a PET scan, which I knew absolutely, when I entered into this world of cancer, I knew nothing about anything. So a PET scan is usually when they make you radioactive and the sugar in you, I think it's sugar, they inject.
Oh, okay.
And then it all lights up if there's cancer in your body.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. So I've only had the NHS as my pathway, and so I've had radioactive scans, but I'd never had it referred to as PET.
There
so
are
obviously
different
stands
types.
for
Yes, it's a
something,
PET
right?
CT and
Right.
there's a normal CT.
I see.
So the normal CT, you do have dye put into you.
Okay.
As I think contrast. Yeah,
Yes.
you have a contrast.
Yeah.
But this is radioactive, so you have to lie still for an hour for the radioactive to work in you.
Okay.
And then the difference is it gives you a different perspective.
Yeah, understand.
So it's an extra which I think it's just an extra for the consultants to double check whether you've got the cancer
Thank you.
or not.
So I didn't know.
Yeah.
So
I had that full body, including head.
Yeah.
I then went back. That was, I think, on 1 week, and then I was going to the oncologist for the results. So first of all, I thought I'd be getting a single mastectomy or lumpectomy, something like that. I went on a Friday to the oncologist for all the results, and poor man didn't realise that I didn't know what I had. So his opening conversation was, "What do you know?" And I said, "I know I've got breast cancer in both breasts." And then he told me there and then that I had stage 4 at diagnosis. So that had spread to it was all over my liver. It was on my femur, spine, shoulders, ribs, pelvis. I don't think anywhere else. And something had shown up on my brain, but they didn't know if it was cancer or not. So that hit me really hard, because when you're told you've got stage 4 and the next sentence is it's treatable but not curable, you just automatically think you're going to die soon. So that was a big shock.
What's the time frame between when you went for that routine scan to that point?
So I'm very fortunate because I have health insurance,
Yeah.
and that was another weird thing, because I only took it out in February. Something told me I should be taking out health insurance. It was only 2 weeks.
Wow.
So I was very lucky.
No, I'm thinking more so for your
it was
words.
a big
Processing.
It was, and I think when I first told on the first day, I went into the office with the breast care nurse, and I said, "Are they sure? How do they know?" And we don't tell you you've got cancer if you haven't, because you seem to think that, well, maybe it's wrong. And even since then, I've looked back, because I felt the fittest I've ever felt. I had no symptoms. I had no lumps that could be felt by me or by the doctors. They couldn't feel anything because I've got dense breasts. So it was a real shock. And I couldn't, even now, I sometimes look back saying, "You sure?" I would joke with the oncologist, "You sure I really had cancer?" But it was real. You can't have all these scans that prove differently. So yes, that was a shock. Good news was that I did have a tumour on my brain, but it wasn't cancer. So I must have been the only person locally that gets excited that you got a tumour, but it's not cancer. Yeah. So that was positive. And then I started chemotherapy. I then had a port placement. I had a liver biopsy, because then they wanted to check what type of cancer I've got. And that came out that I was triple positive, which means I've got HER2 positive, which is the aggressive part of the cancer. And I'm also hormone positive, both estrogen and progesterone. Yeah. And later, I also found out that I've got, so when I was tested genetically, they don't just test for BRCA, which a lot of hospitals just do. And I'm Jewish, so a lot of people associate Jewish heritage with BRCA gene.
Can we talk about that just for a moment? Because I've had extensive experience with cancer as well, and I didn't know this. This is, I think, in the last 6 months, it's really opened my eyes about the correlation between Jewish women and the difference in the genetic makeup that makes us more susceptible to certain cancers. I genuinely didn't know that. Now, granted, I'm not Jewish, so it's not my lived experience. But how widely known is that within the Jewish community?
It's becoming more known.
Yeah.
Because it's becoming more talked about, and there are genetic companies which are testing Jewish people very young for different genes. But I will say it's not just Jewish people that have the BRCA, and people shouldn't just think it is.
Absolutely.
But what was interesting is that where I go, they test for 100 different genes. It's not just the BRCA, and there are so many more linked with breast cancer.
So I have PAL-B2.
Yeah.
And that was through NHS genetics testing. So I think they check. PALB2 is definite, but I know that you have one that I hadn't heard of.
Yeah,
right?
I've got CHEK2.
Yeah.
And again, it's fortunate or not fortunate, but with the NHS, I've got CHEK2 and my family still couldn't be tested on the NHS for the gene. They didn't consider that there was enough of a family history because I was the only person, being blood sisters, with it that they could. But fortunately, because I paid privately, it did mean that anybody, because I was positive, anybody in my immediate family and their family, if they as well, could be tested free. So it was worthwhile. So that's what shocks me, is that you can't get full genetic testing if somebody you know in your family has got it, which worries me because it has saved. My sister's got it, my other sister hasn't, my mother hasn't, so we know it came on my father's side, which then meant my cousins on that side everybody could be tested.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and it meant that my sister could decide, because it's not just breast cancer with CHEK2, it's other cancers as well. So she could have all the screening. She chose to have double mastectomy.
Bring your sister into the conversation, so because I've got a little bit of context, but anybody that's listening isn't going to have that wider context.
My sister was tested and she's positive for CHEK2 gene.
Yes,
yeah. She's my older sister. We're all very close. She then had to make a decision on how she dealt with the news. Obviously, she's got her family tested and etc. But the CHEK2 gene is breast cancer, thyroid cancer, skin, bowel, and one other. So she decided to go for full testing, and I think she did get that through the NHS. She'd had a history of lumps on her breasts as well. She didn't have cancer, but she had hundreds of lumps regularly that had to be drained. It was every 6 months she'd have a mammogram and everything else. So she chose with the oncologist, with the surgeon, that it would be best to have a double mastectomy. And she did, and she had precancerous cells, so it was positive.
Yeah.
She then went on and had thyroid testing, and there was something abnormal showed there. She then found that she had thyroid cancer, so she had the thyroid removed and all the side effects and everything else that comes with that. So it's been a real eye-opener for our family, because we'd never have been tested otherwise.
Yeah.
So I felt guilty that I'd given her, I felt that because of me, she's got this gene and she now knows, and she's had to have surgery and things, but she looks at it the other side, is I've saved her.
And I would, and I'm not just saying that, but
I'd rather it had been more me, not two of us having something. But
the awareness is
But it's the
key.
importance of genetic testing, and it really isn't widely done throughout the UK, at least. And on the NHS, I know a lot of people that I've met haven't been tested for anything, not even BRCA.
Yeah.
And it is a concern, because it saves other people, and also it means what your treatment can be based on different things. That explains also why I've got 3 different breast cancers, because they're all different, but the primary one that has spread is the triple positive.
Okay.
But it makes the logic, it makes the sense, because you do feel when you've got breast cancers, what did I do wrong? Why didn't I pick it up? Why did it go straight to stage 4? And you can't think like that, but you do. So, yeah, it was a shock.
So bring me up to current day.
So that was that. I then had, so very briefly, I had 16 weeks of chemotherapy. Because I've got HER2 positive, I also have a targeted therapy drug, which is injected into me 3 weekly. And that targets the specific cancer, so it doesn't target all your cells, which chemo does. It hits just that type of cancer. And then I'm also on hormone blockers, and I'm on bone strengthening drugs as well. So, and then after the 16 weeks chemo, I was fortunate that it had been really successful, and you're never in remission when you're stage 4. You've never classed as no evidence of disease, but there's no active disease. So I know the cancer cells are there, but I call it they're sleeping at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'll be on treatment for life, and I'll stay on this treatment until it stops working, and then we find the next treatment that will hopefully keep it at bay as many years as possible. So that was September 21 I started, and it's now been 4 years. I
mean, I was going to ask a question, and I don't even know how you answer it, but How do you manage that? Like, when you wake up in the morning, day to day, is it something that you're aware of and you go, I know what that is, I can just place it over here because currently I'm well, apart from the fact that I have to take shed loads of drugs to keep me well, and we never know when I'm not going to be well. What's the impact day to day for you?
That would be an ideal way to live.
Right.
And I try to, and I'm a very positive, and my outlook is always very positive, and I'm advocating for raising awareness, but it's there in the back of your head, and it's like you're living with my analogy is you're standing in the middle of a road and there's a red bus coming towards you, and is it going to stop or is it going to accelerate, and you never know. And that's my life. So you live scan by scan, which is every 3 months. Every time you get a good scan, you should be happy and celebrate, but I don't, because I think that's another good scan gone. When's the bad scan going to come? Because the longer I've had the stage 4 cancer, I feel my years are running out on this drug, because I'm not going to be on it forever. And there's always that in the back of your mind, is when is it going to come back? Have I got it? Every ache and pain. I've learned to live now that I'm probably getting a bit more the opposite, that every ache and pain, I just think, oh, well, it's not cancer, it'll be fine.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It will show up in my scans. I'll wait till my scans. But then you can have negatives of that, because I fell over in January. I had a very bad back, and I just said, it'll get better, it'll be fine. And then the nurse went absolutely mad with me and said, you're supposed to report if you fall and you've got pain, because your bones are very brittle from the chemo and from the hormone drugs. And I had fractured my spine, but I didn't know, because you've got pain every day. It's just how you handle it, and you just learn to live with it, and you think it will go.
This is really interesting for me, because what it kind of almost demonstrates is we all have these aches and pains after cancer, variable depending on treatment, depending on the impact of whatever medication on. But I don't think there's anybody that's had a level of cancer who doesn't feel a physical reminder of some description. But it's how much we anchor to that and let anxiety and fear, or what if that's something, or as you're saying, you're going, well, I've got a scan coming up, that'll show up if it is anything.
And that's my view. And I think probably I'm a bit different to some people, because I never had any symptoms.
That's what I was going to say. So because you didn't have symptoms, and then you have this sledgehammer of like, here we go, there's your gift, that's what you've got, and you didn't know, right? You didn't know. Almost, you don't know what's going to come out of any scan then, because you didn't have any symptoms the first time.
And that's what I always say to my oncologist, because he says, oh, you'll know, we joke, because he says, oh, you'll know if, you're getting new symptoms. I went, don't give me that rubbish. You know I didn't have any.
Yeah.
But what I feel is when I feel really good, that's when I panic.
Really?
It's like, I felt really healthy before I was diagnosed with cancer. And I remember phoning him one day when I was on chemo, feeling my really lowest, screaming that I won't use the language on here, but you've made me ill. I was fine until you got into my life, and and he just turned around and said, you die without it, so shut up and take it. We've got that relationship. And that's another thing that's important, is you've got to trust your team. And I do, that I get the right treatment and the right scans, and they're at the end of the phone if I need them.
I mean, you're right, that is an ideal situation, right? From a patient and medical perspective, that relationship is vital. That actually, if you need open access, you need free, being able to communicate, being listened to and heard, and action being taken, but also that guidance that comes from medical competencies that we may not have. Well, we definitely don't have. We've got ChatGPT, which we didn't have back then.
I wish we didn't know.
I didn't know. Oh no, me too. But I think you're right. A big part of someone's experience is the relationship that they are able to have with their team, and how much they feel like they can trust them.
I think that's really important. I mean, I had a surgeon, I would have had a surgeon who did my first diagnosis, who's a very, really, really good surgeon, great guy, hasn't got great bedside manner. And I don't think, if he'd been my oncologist, would I have stayed with him? I know he's one of the top, but would I? Probably not. Whereas this one, at the beginning, I asked him the same question, because the hardest thing for me was that they weren't removing my breasts, because I didn't have surgery. You don't have surgery if you're straight stage 4.
Yes. Again, I didn't know this.
Yeah, because what they say is you can remove the breasts and you think you're removing the cancer, but it's too late. The cancer is all over your body, so it's not going to improve your chances of survival. It's not going to improve how long you live or anything like that. So they won't put your body through unnecessary surgery. If you need surgery they said if you get a new lump, maybe they would look at removing that, but not the existing cancer.
So they didn't remove any of the tumours?
No surgery. And that was the hardest thing, because first of all, I was talking of lumpectomy and I wanted a mastectomy because, you're removing a lump, but I want everything gone. Mm-hmm. And then being told that I can't. And that took a lot of me asking the same questions of the oncologist and the same question, why? Until I got it in my head and I understood it, and then I was happy. Even now, I still feel I haven't experienced the same as other women, because losing your breast is a completely different experience. And I still feel that I don't look at my breast and think, oh, lovely. I just look at them and you're trying to kill me.
So, yeah.
And they're still there.
Because the relationship you have with your body then is because that it was... The relationship you have with your body, that it's got cancer in it, right? Yeah. So actually when you're looking at yourself, and it's... For me, for instance, so I had quite a lot of cancer over both breasts, and I had both breasts removed. And so that's shortening everything down. Currently, no evidence of disease, not stage 4. The relationship that I have with my body now, I have to accept now, post-cancer, and I have to learn to love and respect and accept and all that stuff. But if your body's the same body with although the cancer's been shrunk and everything there's cells, sleeping cells, let's say, but learning to love and trust your own body,
it's really hard.
I can only imagine.
And I know it's not easy having a double mastectomy, and I know that is a completely difficult thing for the mind and mentally and everything else, but also living with them and knowing that could it come back? Could there be another one? And could that one spread as well? And it's all the unknowns, and you're living every day with the unknown. And I'm not very good at unknowns. I like to be in control, which we all do. And I think the minute you're told you've got cancer, you've lost control.
Yeah.
Because you are.
And then it's how you manage with this new understanding that actually you don't have control.
No. And it is really hard because you are trusting other people with your life, but you have to be your own advocate.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about advocacy then, because I know it's something that's really important to you within the breast cancer space. What do you advocate for?
The biggest thing for me is screening. They don't screen until you're in your 50s, which I think is at least 10 years up too late. And they don't screen on your 50th birthday. They screen in the first 3 years after you're 50.
Right. So now we're looking at someone who's 53 potentially.
I was called, I think, at 52 or 53.
Okay.
So I would have, putting it bluntly, I'd have been dead if I hadn't have found out by the time that they caught it, because it was an aggressive form of cancer and it was all over. So for me, I think women should be able to ask for screening and get it for no reason. Not, oh, well, have you got any symptoms? I think you should be able to get a mammogram if you want a mammogram, and I think they should be promoting it more, as in the NHS and the country. And the other thing is obviously the genetic testing. It shouldn't be you're not eligible for it. I think if you want it, you should be able to have it. And I know it's costly, but there's plenty of other things that are costly that people are given and dealt with. So for me, it's raising the awareness for people to be aware of their bodies and aware that they should get a mammogram. And also the cost of it is not expensive. People think, oh, you went privately. I'm fortunate I've got health insurance, but even just to get the diagnosis, I know a lot of people that go privately every year now and have a mammogram. Doesn't mean they'll be treated privately, but they're getting their peace of mind every year, not every 3 years when the mammograms are, the NHS. To me, I think it's a cost of a coffee every week would pay for your mammogram, or something as stupid as that.
I wish I knew more underneath about the actual cost, because let's say, so we're talking about genetics testing. So I was lucky, I had genetics testing because I had a lot of family history, and I've known that anyway from an ovarian point of view ever since I was younger. So it was always on my radar, not breast cancer. So I think after my first sentinel node biopsy or something, I had genetics counselling, testing, full testing. I wonder if it was made available to everyone, which I think absolutely it should be, because it would therefore save a lot of other things later down the line. But you would see an increase, I'm just thinking out loud, you'd see an increase in people taking active control of their bodies, through surgical measures or otherwise. And I suppose it is that to explore as well, because it's not just the impact of not just the increased cost of genetics testing,
it's the cost of everything that follows.
Right. And so, again, I don't know enough. I've not...
But I think we're very much reactive as a country. Even in the private health system, they won't give you a double mastectomy unless you've got the BRCA gene. Other genes are not important enough. So you would have to pay for your own mastectomy.
Yeah.
And the same with the NHS. I don't think they do one if you had a check too. But if you've got BRCA, they would. So the answer is, when you get it, we'll deal with it. But that's not right for the patient.
You've got to be in front of that then, because...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not. And a lot of it is, well, if you get symptoms, we'll test you. Why wait till you've got symptoms? Mine is more preventative. I advocate a lot for people to be checking their breasts. And the other thing is age. People seem to think that breast cancer hits the over 50s, and it doesn't. I know women in their 20s that have got it, and they're stage 4. So it hits every age, and I hate it when you hear it. And the same with men. Men aren't aware that they can get it. So it's just, to me, it's raising the awareness. It's not a taboo subject.
Can I ask, within the Jewish community and taboo, is there a taboo within your own community?
Not so much now.
Okay.
I think the BRCA link wasn't as open as it should be. And I know there is a company, and I can't for the life of me think of what they're called, but they are doing genetic testing in younger people as well, and school-age children for a variety of genes. And they get genetic counselling as well, because there's a lot with it. So if you're having genetic testing, you should be getting counselling, because you may find out you've got a gene that can give you cancer, and then what do you do? But I think a lot of people talk more now. They're more aware of it, because people with cancer are talking about their journeys rather than, can't talk about it, it's the C word. That's an older generation. And I think this generation and below, people are talking about it. It's real.
I'm always interested in people who have different, cultural experiences or religious experiences to myself, because I'm very open. And you said when you first arrived, I'm an open book, right? Yeah. We can talk about these things. And I sometimes assume that everybody else is as open, and they're not.
People don't like to talk. I know people that don't like to talk about it. When I was first diagnosed, I realised that I was the only person that I knew with breast cancer. So I set up a local Facebook group thinking I might make a few friends. Took off. I've got over 100 people on it. We meet once a month if I manage to get the arrangements made. Yeah. But it is actually, there's a lot of people, you just don't know them. And funnily enough, because I am Jewish, and the people I'm circle with and meet, there's a lot of them are Jewish, but they're not all Jewish. Yeah. And we all mix, and it's all the same. And it's the same with a lot of other support. You need the support of others that are going through the same as you, because however much support you've got, and I've got great support with friends and family, I never go to an appointment on my own. I've always driven wherever I need to go for appointments. But they don't get it. No one understands you like another patient.
It is. It's. I'm gonna swear intentionally. It's a really shitty club.
It is
to be part of, but the people that you meet in it,
absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
I've met the most phenomenal people over the last 4 years that I can genuinely call a real friends. I've lost a lot as well. That is the sadness of the disease, is you make good friends and you're going to lose them if they've got cancer and they're ill, and they can go from being okay to not being okay so quickly, which is why I do still get scared, because you see someone that was absolutely fine last month and they're dead 2 months later.
Yeah.
And I know it's a horrible thing to say, but it's reality. It can happen any time. I'm just hoping I've got a lot more years than everyone else does.
Yes. Cheers to that.
But it's not easy.
Yeah, I get it. And I think you're right. The social media side of things as well, right? Because we're bringing people together very quickly, because
Yes.
that's what Facebook, Instagram, and social platforms do. They allow us to find our tribe of people quite quickly through shared interests. But it does mean then the pace of connection. We also see it in the pace of loss
Yeah.
with those people.
And people don't understand it. They're not going through it because they wonder, why do you associate yourself with
Yeah.
so many people that
Yeah.
you're going through a lot of losses and you're sad, and wouldn't go to all the funerals, but the ones that I'm close to, of course I would. But they don't understand it's part of it. They give me so much, these people, and I give them, and that's what our friendships are.
Also, I think if cancer is such a big part of your life, like it or not, the fact is it is a big part, especially with stage 4. We can't pretend it's not happened or happening or anything. And so, yeah. Okay, question for you. Do you have any kind of ebbs and flows in terms of your advocacy? How strong you feel at any given point about, right, I'm going to do this? Or do sometimes you just go, do you know what? I can't. Right now, I don't want to hear about cancer. I don't want to.
Yeah. There's days when I just want to be quiet and leave it. And the beauty of all the Facebook groups and everything is you flick through.
Yeah.
You can scroll by if you want to. There's days when I feel, no, I'm really tough. I find my worst is probably after my scans. When I've heard that I'm clear, it's just, that's my time. I realise how exhausted, how stressful it was, but I didn't realise I was stressed. And my sister says, oh, you always get stressed, because she knows me. And I go, but I don't feel it. I feel it after. And that's my time when I want to just unwind and forget it. I don't like to shout from the rooftops to other people, oh, I've got a good scan, because I know they might not. But in the same breath, we like to support each other, and we like to share good news for other people as well.
Such a fine line, isn't it?
And there are days when I feel really rough and, I'm tired. I feel I just want to have the energy that I used to have.
Yeah.
I want to be the old me, and I always call it the BC and the AC, before cancer, after cancer. But
Yeah.
I'm learning to accept that that person's gone and there's a new person, and I've got to like what I've got. And one thing it has made me change is I live a lot more for the moment, so I don't put things off.
Okay.
So I do a lot of things that I never used to do. I never used to go on holiday. It was all the money, I need to save the money for this, I need to do this. Now I go away often. I try and go away every 3 months. I used to not go to the theatre because it's expensive, and who will go with me? Now people don't want to go, I'll go on my own. And the same with the holidays, I'll go on my own. I need it. And I find people probably laugh at work, they used to laugh, but they now get it. Is I need my holiday, I say, and it's after 3 months. They go, but you only went away 3 months ago. But that's how I live. I am exhausted by that 3 months because I do work.
Well, everything then is shaped around, a scan.
Yeah.
You get 4 a year, let's say every 3 months.
4, yeah.
And so you're going, right, hold on, but absolutely brace and buckle in. And then you're getting closer to the scan day, and without realising it, because it's probably a really consistent cycle for you now.
It is.
You get to that point, and then hopefully good scan.
It is. But someone said to me, and I think when I had my secondary diagnosis, my sister said to me, you seem to have knew, because I was quite calm. Didn't break down. And my view, I said to her, I've been told the worst now ever. I said, it's not like I don't know I've got cancer. It's not like I don't know it's coming back. I know it will come back. Don't know when, but it will at some point, unless there's some cure. So for me, I've heard the worst. The day I was told I had cancer was the worst. Then the day I was told it was stage 4 was bad, but I'd already knew I had cancer.
Interesting.
And now I know it's not going to be a shock. It's happened now. I've got to deal with it. My fear is what's the next line of treatment and things like that. The unknown, because it's another new unknown.
I get it. Okay, so Emma, I'm really interested about the relationship then. And I know we can only speak from our own experience. We can't speak on behalf of a group of people, anyway. But your experience, how does your Jewish faith kind of link into breast cancer in terms of that openness or any stigma? What's the relationship between the two, if there is one?
Yeah. That's a difficult one for me because I'm not religious. I'm Jewish, and I think I've got less religious. I'm traditional, I think is the word, but I've got less since I've had cancer because I think, well, what's it all about? But that's my personal. I think in the very religious, ultra-religious, women are looked upon slightly differently, and they might not be so open about their having breast cancer. But all the women I know that have got it, and I do know some which are very religious, some that aren't, they do all talk about it. And they do share their experiences, and they have had really good support from their family and friends. So I don't think there's a stigma associated with the religion that I've seen. I think it's more a generational issue with maybe the older generation, and whether it be Jewish or not Jewish, I don't know.
The openness to be able to discuss.
To talk.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everybody would be as open, because very religious women, they cover themselves, their bodies, you know, they don't have their shoulders uncovered. They wear head coverings anyway. So, you know, I remember speaking to somebody I know that's religious, that's got, that was going through chemotherapy, and I said, is the scarf, and I'm a very open person, so I just said to her, is the scarf religious, or is the scarf you've lost your hair? And she pulled it off. She went a bit of both. She said, I wear it normally, but I've lost my hair as well.
Yeah.
So it's being open, and people are open, and I don't think there's so much a stigma with our religion. But I suppose it's the side of the religion that I'm on.
Yeah, and it goes for, because we can have religious, you know, faith, but I think within that we have family constructs, and we have friendship constructs, and we still have groups of people, and we can therefore have open and more closed, you know, dynamics, regardless of anything. I was just interested whether or not you, from your experience, you know, whether or not you'd noticed anything that potentially I might not, because they're not my circles.
No, and I think it's like everything. People like to gossip anyway.
Okay.
So that's why I've been such an open book.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people gossiping about me or avoiding. I think it's more of the avoidance. If people don't know or they hear, they're not sure how to approach you. And I think that's probably the same in all religions.
Well, but you were talking about clarity, being in control, right?
Yes.
And having clarity and making sure that, you know, everything, getting rid of the ambiguity. So actually sitting in the driving seat and being very open.
And that's why I've opened up at work right at the beginning. I said to my chief exec, can I come out? So just and tell everybody in an email, because I was feeling people knew, but they didn't know how to handle me.
Cool.
Did they know? Should they know? Shouldn't they know? So I put an open email telling them my story, telling them, and please don't treat me differently. I'm still the same colleague, but you can talk to me about it. You can ask me questions about it. You know, I'm here. And it changed the dynamics, because people were people I was close to were like, didn't know what to say to me, because they didn't know if they should know or not know.
Yeah.
And you don't get round to phoning everybody. I mean, you've got 50 work colleagues. And I think it's the same with the religion. It's people just don't know how to handle it. And being Jewish isn't necessarily a religion. It's what you believe in and what you feel. And I will always be Jewish, however religious or not I am.
Yes.
And that's the difference.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that.
So,
okay, so final reflective question. If you could have a conversation with you age 49, right? You age 50. What would you tell that version of yourself? Either as a piece of advice, or like a guiding word or sentence or something?
I think it'd be live your life for now and love hard. Live and love hard.
I need a T-shirt with that on, please.
Because we don't. We're so busy in our world.
Yeah.
Busy. And we don't have time for ourselves. And don't put everything off, because you really don't. I know it's an old cliche, but you don't know what tomorrow brings. So do live a bit more for today. Not saying be completely irresponsible, but do things for yourself to have memories and enjoy. Step back and enjoy your life.
Yeah. Live a life worth living.
Yeah.
Enjoy what you've got.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're so welcome. Cups and Courage shares honest, personal stories of people affected by breast cancer. The views you hear are those of the guests and host, and don't replace medical advice. If you're concerned about your health, please speak to a doctor or healthcare team. Cups and Courage, the podcast.